Got everyone? If we can stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Right. We don't have, if somebody's online or listening to this later on, we don't have a video camera. You'll be able to see the stuff we share, but you won't be able to see the room. So we're just gonna go around and say our names so people know who's here. I'm Kimberly Burkhardt.
Justin Damon.
Mark Deutschlander.
Pat Venezia.
Edith Davy.
Gary Kopersberger.
Mike Warner.
And we also have guests.
Jim Sweatman from 4103 Unlimited Drive.
Daniel Hackett.
Thank you. And we have a guest online as well.
Hello, my name is Jim.
We're
James
kind of
Christopher.
limited on space here. Let me see. We have James Ritz Fowler.
Can you hear me?
James, are you for an application that we're talking about tonight?
Yeah, can you hear me?
He might be for the West Charlie, possibly,
Maybe.
more than likely, right?
It says, yeah,
Yes,
can you hear me?
yes,
Can you hear
I
me?
gotcha.
I can't.
Oh,
Yep.
Hi. Hi, can you hear me? Hello?
What's wrong with our video? Technical difficulties?
Yeah, the computer died.
Ah,
So we moved it to the smart board here. Sound is down. Let me try that.
Hi, just checking. Can you guys hear me?
Encore was down today.
It was, they were working on it,
Already,
yeah. We have become so reliant on that program. It feels like someone cut their arm off.
How did they do that?
Yeah,
Hi, can you guys hear me?
It's off.
What's that?
What's that thing that says off?
mono audio.
Speakers.
I just did. Can you?
Hi.
James,
Hi,
can
can you
you
get-
try saying something?
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Might just be typing questions.
We're gonna have to get him on somebody's cell phone probably. Would that be good?
Yeah, that'd be the easiest
Mhm.
What's it?
We have my
Mike-
cell phone.
Get him on somebody's cell phone.
when he's gonna present.
Can you try now?
Can you hear me? Hello?
No, I'm sorry. Sure. Do you have an idea?
I just had a great idea.
Yeah, if we just try it on cell phone.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
You gotta go to Walmart, buy a new TV.
Yeah.
Speakers.
Can you
Justin,
guys
aren't
hear me?
you like a computer whiz?
No, not a computer whiz, just I tinker with stuff and I get yelled at work now, so I'm no longer allowed to. New company policies.
Hmm.
I don't know if they switched over stuff from the old one to the new one or.
It's from generations.
I have no idea. Because I've tried all three of these.
Might be something buried in the settings.
Let's see. Let me get the number. Or could,
Yeah. Hey, Jim, I'm gonna give you my phone number. Call in here and we'll put you on speaker. It's 315-237-3252.
Bluetooth is on or something, it's transmitting to.
Another participant now.
Yeah.
What was your number?
315-237-3252.
It's only gonna work for one of them.
Yeah, that's time. Yeah. Hello?
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you? So we got you on speaker now, so when we get up to your application, we'll let you talk from the phone, okay?
All right, sorry about that. I've never had an issue on my end.
No, it's on our end, I think. We're having a problem with the computer, so, all right, hang on.
Gotcha, okay. Well, thank you very much.
Sure thing.
I'll mute myself.
All right. Thank you.
Sure.
Stick that up there for now. And let's see, call to order, pledge allegiance. And everyone's here, I think, for an application, our guests. So let's see, approval of the minutes, approval of the June, I forget what date it was, June.
Six.
I'll make a motion.
All right, a second,
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
So much. Let's see, privilege the floor. If anybody has something to talk about that's not on our agenda tonight, now would be the time. Okay, report from the development office.
Nothing much to report right now. It's been a little slow, so we're happy with
PRC Monday.
that.
No referrals from the town board that I know of. Ordinance committee, they talked about incentive zoning, farm labor housing, and something else. I can't remember what the third thing was. Some tax incentives for firemen. So they were going to send the farm labor housing on up to the town board, and they're still working on the other two. But they did have Kevin O'Leary, Lynn Klotz, somebody else from the watershed to speak at the last meeting on incentive zoning. So let's see, I think we are up to our referrals. And our first one is CPN 2024-066. And it was referred back to us by the planning board. And we were asked to work with the applicants and come up with a solution. The planning board chairman did tell me he wants more trees added to the plan. So that is one thing that was passed to us from the planning board. So did you want to introduce your project to the team here?
Sure. Do you have a picture of it up?
Yeah.
Pull a picture of it up. I'll just give you a 2-minute kind of overview of what the plan is and how we got there. And
I'm doing multiple duties, so it's sometimes slow for me to get to these.
no, that's fine.
You want the landscape plan?
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
the plan, Dan's handwritten sketch, nice colorful
Okay,
sketch. We can talk about that. Yeah, there it is. Sure, I can stand upright.
You sure can.
Sure.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I like sitting down.
Again, my name is.
This is a
Yeah.
smart board, so you're not gonna actually wanna touch it.
Oh,
much.
yeah, I won't, yeah, I won't touch it. Look at my hair, I'm an old guy. So I'm Jim Sweatman, just moved in, got the C of O up, for my new house, up here on Island Drive, so, wife and I have, always dreamt of moving to Canandaigua, so we had the opportunity to go ahead and find this land and build our house. So, my wife loves gardening and landscaping, and that's why we hired, well, the best in the business, Dan Hackett, from Ted Collins Landscape. This only shows the rear of the house, it doesn't show the whole thing, but everybody's had an opportunity to see what we've done to the front of the house and the two sides of the house. And what we're trying to do here is just kind of continue on with that same, and what is the reason for the path? The main reason is, this is one tax parcel right here. We have 150 feet of lakefront right down here. Here is Westlake Road. And the only way to get to this is to get in our cars and drive all the way down on Linda Drive to get to our lakefront. We do right now cut across and go down our neighbor's path to get down there, which isn't very convenient. So this is kind of the plan, the submission that we have in, that was turned down for some questions that we had, but let's talk about the trees. There's two things that happen. One, I was told by two of my neighbors that once I get my C of O, that I can do anything I want to my property. And that kind of, yes, it was my fault. And I cut down 4 or 5 left of the trees that were over the 6-inch size, but I didn't go and get clarification. I didn't do anything. So it was my fault that these last few trees here got cut down. So I just wanted to say that. I apologize for that. It was my fault. I was misguided. Yes, I should have called the town. I should have done some things with that.
Did the town give you any guidance when you had your initial meetings with them for the initial approval?
Yes, they
regarding
said
the
if you're
trees?
going to do anything, you have to go to the planning board and you have to get approval.
And that didn't.
And I was told that all goes away once you get your C of O.
Huh.
And that's what I was told by my neighbors, 2 neighbors. So new guy in Canandaigua, right? Okay, that's fine. So yes, it was my fault, misguided. I shouldn't have listened to but that is just in summary. So that's the main reason, is to bring this all over here. Also, it is obviously, you've driven by it, you've taken pictures. From here down, this is an absolute disaster mess. I mean, things are growing up all over the place, and the idea is to make this basically beautiful, to kind of continue on with everything going down. And, you know, we want to make things very, very nice. That is what we're trying to do. And this is not an inexpensive thing to do, or what we're trying to do here. One of the comments was the path. Let's see if we could get it to Miranda, come over a little bit more. We've come over as far as we can. This is not really representative of how big this tree really is over here. We've come as far as we can over here with this path to bring it all the way over. Mahar Engineering did the engineering on this, and we've got this set up as best as possible to come over as far north as possible with this path. So that was one of the things. And then I'll let Dan talk about the questions about invasive species and trees and all that, but I just wanted to give you an overview of what the plan is. It's really trying to tie in everything all in together. That's basically what the reason is for the path.
I think, you know, Jim, also to help explain that in what's labeled in the middle of the plan, the second cut of grass, there is a infiltration system in there that was approved in the original plan. And I did talk with Wendy Mahar, and originally I wanted to come from the south, come across, double back and come in, and going across the infiltration system, she was very uncomfortable with the way that it's engineered, the way that the the humps are, she went over it with me and I said, okay. And she said, well, originally I had this on this design that went to the town. And in the original approval, it shows that there was going to be some kind of path down the hill. Again, I wasn't part of that approval process. So just to bring you guys up to speed, for me, I think I just want you guys to understand, I understand native plants and I understand native plant design. I also have to look at myself as I'm mediating because I have a customer, a client, and the client likes ornamental horticulture and it's trying to strike a balance of those two. So what I'd like to, when I spoke with the planning board chairman, was said, yes, I'll go in. I'd like to talk with the board. And I think hopefully we could come to a resolution. When I leave tonight, they're comfortable. We can make some edits on this drawing, get it back to him. They wanted it, by the 16th. So one of the things on the plan that you have, and again, because I'm an old guy and I draw everything by hand, one of the plants is totally missing, and it was bayberry, Myrica pennsylvanica. And there is quite a bit of bayberry across the front because someone was saying about the balance of native plants versus, let's just say ornamental horticulture plants. And one of the things, again, with talking with particularly Jim's wife, Colleen, is she really likes ornamental horticulture. I've showed her some natives and I said, well, we need to strike a balance because the town wants a balance. But I said, what they don't have is a matrix for it. All has to be one way or it all has to be another. It's that people are being cognizant of the fact and looking at that. So this design was really based on being cognizant of that and trying to strike a balance, but also do it in such a way that there are some things that this is particularly the bottom of the hill is very unstable slope. So, Anthony water spirea isn't my favorite plant in the world. It flowers, it's very nice. Mrs. Sweatman said she loves it. I said, well, that's nice because it has a fibrous root system. It grows very rapidly. That system will shut down that bank. It will flower for you in the summer and work with sort of your motif of what you have for planting and like all that. I said, oh, again, compounded with that, we need to use some native trees. We need to have, the bayberry in there. I showed her Lindora benzoin, and again, we could go through all these plants and through them. What I wanted to do is kind of get the feedback from the board, hear what you had to say. If it's, hey, we'd like to see more trees on the hill, I could make a suggestion very quickly to that. Now, right now I have a London plane tree specified, and that canopy is nowhere near the size that tree gets. One of the questions from the board was why a London plane? Why not an American sycamore? Commercially, finding the American sycamore is pretty tough because of the root structure to size. The town wants 3.5 inch trees. They want large trees. It's a very hard tree to commercially find. You're really going to find those in the successful growth with those when you're talking putting in 5 to 7 foot, which are only going to be 1.5 inches. They grow very successfully, but the reason it's not commercially grown is because they can't get them up to size where they sell them. So be more than happy to specify that, but we'd be looking at a smaller caliber tree for development. The other thing on this hill, American sycamore is going to be one that predominantly as we drive up and down the lake, we're going to find in the ravines and in the very low areas, they really like wet feet. A London plane tree is going to grow in a dry condition as well as a wet condition. So although it's a hybrid of a native and a non-native, the idea was, again, okay, we can have this majestic crown. They have a few in their front yard. They really like them. And so that's how I got to these decisions and recommendations for them. So, as an overall, one of the comments was magnolias grow slow. And I don't necessarily agree with that they grow slow. I don't know if they grow slow, but a magnolia is not a native unless you were to do Virginianus. And then somebody would say, well, that's Virginianus. That's not a native. And then what we have to do is we have to say, well, what is native? What's regional? How do we really look at that for the palette? So, the board also asked me a question of, well, what is your percentage of natives versus non-natives? And the town attorney asked that. And I said, well, it's at a disadvantage. And he said, well, take a guess. And, I threw a number, all right? But what I said to him is there's no matrix that exists for percentages. And how would we weigh a percentage? Because if I have an Anthony Spiree and we're planting those, suggesting 24 inches on center for very rapid growth, we're packing them in. It's a high number of plants. And then you're putting in Myrica pennsylvanica, which we want to get 5 to 6 foot plants, which they're going to get 15 and 18 feet tall up on that bank and really fill it out. Is one of those equal to 5 of those? If you're trying to measure, are you just tit for tat? This one's native, that one's not. It's a 1 versus 1. And I don't think that the board's viewing it that way. And that'd be a very unfair way to look at the thing. So again, it was really to create a balance and, very open to suggestions. And that's why we came tonight, and just to sort of help out. And even with the planning board chairman, I said, I'll show up. I'm going to bring my pen. We're going to mark some stuff on the plan. Maybe we can all look at it. And if we're real comfortable, that'll be the revised plan. That'll go to the planning board. And, Mr. Sweatman taking the trees down, I wasn't part of that. I'm glad to hear you apologize to him. The town does get pretty hot about that stuff. So, which I told you after we met. But with that in mind, we do need to mitigate the hill. The hill itself, what was there, I went out, I looked at stumps. There were a lot of just native ash. A lot of the stuff that came down, and I think the code is 6 inches, you can cut whatever. So were there more than 6 trees? Yes. Were 6 of them taken down that were within the size code of the town where you're supposed to have permission? Yes. But the other ones that were existing were brush. There was honeysuckle growing on that hill, which I found evidence of. It's really not a plant we want to plant. I know that's a bad one. And when I'm looking at plants and invasive and what's invasive, what's not invasive, just to touch on that. So like Rosa Sharon, everybody wants to say is invasive. I do too. It'll pop up. It doesn't run. It doesn't colonize. It doesn't take areas over. It'll sow to some degree. But I could say a redbud tree, which is a native and everybody loves, you can drive down the road and see where they run and colonize. And well, is that invasive? And then somebody says, well, no, because it's native. So I come back and I go, well, so it's okay if you're native to be invasive because that's what it's doing and it's killing other species. And, things find a balance.
But it's not. I mean, so it's defined within the state. There is definitions, there is precedence. A redbud has had an opportunity over thousands of years to acclimate and grow well in the area and has its pests, diseases, whatever, whereas some of those other ones, they're new, the resistance isn't built up yet. So you can't really say it in a broad definition.
My comparison though is how things run and how things grow. Okay. And then we also,
you're not taking it ecologically.
We also
You're
have,
just saying how a plant grows.
we also have a state list of what can't be planted. And there's a federal list of what can't be planted. So nothing we're suggesting is something that can't be planted.
100%.
That is an illegal plant.
Correct.
So, and I think just as a basis of, and I'm not having this discussion argumentatively, I told the town, everything I have is native at my house. That's what I'm into. But I have to work in the middle and work with people. And that's what I'm trying to do is work with you, the town, the Sweatmans, get them something they're very happy with and that they can manage and aesthetically is what they like, but also strike that balance with the
Would you
town.
tell us what the native plants are that you're planning for there within non-Latin terms?
In non-Latin terms, I'd be more than happy because I'm extremely dyslexic and I hate writing those Latin names. There's just too many vowels and consonants in there. But again, as you're going through, I mean, I think the big ones that are like a straight up native. And again, Bayberry is just a straight up native. People say, oh, it grows in Maine. But it's regionally a native. All right. So that's a big one. The marsh hibiscus is a native. We all know that. Okay. Down below the sage is not, it's a dwarf sage. It's Russian sage. So it's definitely not a native.
Which can be quite aggressive.
It's also a very good pollinator. You find quite a few bees gravitating to it. Again, I'm looking at salt damage along the road. So the spirea, which is Japanese spirea, is not a native plant, no question. However, very fibrous root system will hold that hill together, will develop that root system rapidly, will create a cover with its canopy as they fill together that doesn't allow water to pour through, and we're saving the hillside. So as I came tonight and you said they want more trees, the things, the hydrangeas just aren't native. They're just pretty. And, people like that. I'm just being straight up with it. So, with me looking at the plan, I'm thinking, okay, well, what if we can come to something for the Rose of Sharon's, swap those out, seem to be a hot button. And then we could talk about the trees and if, the magnolias, if we want to switch those out to something. You said that they want some more trees and we could work through these couple points and maybe get to a point,
I think your Japanese spirea really has to be changed up. New York State rates that an invasive at 62 out of 100. So I know I went.
So what would you suggest? Because somebody said, again, and I read through the minutes, and I don't know if it's that particular plant, but blueberries. I have blueberries. It's
I
really,
think
really
that
great.
was in discussion.
They're not
Yeah, that was
not
probably
as-
me, but it's not meant for
Okay.
slope control. That was
No,
more for
that's just-
foliage, like burning
yeah.
bush substitute. I know
Yeah.
we've talked about that in
Yeah.
the past. For that red hue, the yellow hues that people like of the burning
Yeah.
bush, basically.
Okay.
So it wasn't meant for soil
I got
stabilization
you.
and stuff. But I think that if there is more trees as part of the plan in that area to help stabilize that slope over the years, the decades, I mean, that's gonna improve it. Where we're less dependent on the spirea or some other thing. And I know to the fault of the town, we don't have a defined definition percentage said native versus whatever. It's something that's in progress in the works.
Yeah.
It's more or less a recommendation that we make as an ECB, like we would like to see more of this. And part of it is because of the past, like in the past, that was just the cheapest stuff that was filled in there, put in there, and a lot of it ended up being invasives. And we're just trying to move away from that. It's not codified or anything like that, just as a good practice for the town itself.
No, I get that. And then I brought up with the town board, and this wasn't being, nasty or anything, but I said, geez, these guys walk in the front of this building every week and there's, a spirea hedge and there's a Japanese tree lilac and there's burning bush and like.
But the last things that they've added have all been native, so those are like sins of the
Those
past.
are-
Those are the grandfather.
Okay.
And we
They
can't
are.
cut them and pull them.
That's right, somebody
Bob
else
Simpson
planted
put
them.
those
So
We're
we're moving
replacing.
away from
Yeah.
that, and
Yeah.
so
Mhm.
I did some work over the weekend where I took the approved site plan, because it shows the tree line that was to remain. And it's a lot more than 6 trees.
Well, here, I
So,
brought this
The
up with,
brown is the tree line. I matched it up with the plan that you've got now. So if you want to, yeah. Just to give an idea of what the planning board approved in 2021.
I think it was 6 over 6 inches. There were more trees than that, which I just said, there were smaller ashes. Which just by code, he'd be able to take down. And I'm not defending him taking anything down. But what I would say is that hill was predominantly a brush hill with volunteer ash coming up. And the ash tree is, again, do you want to shoot pesticides in the stuff to kill stuff or, get it changed up? So although I hear what you're saying, in her original plan, Mahar's, she showed these areas where when they excavated for the utilities, like they were going to be able to laser shoot these things up the hill. And, I went down, I saw it. You could see where the excavator had ripped up the hill and these trenches. I think that plan showed an unrealistic envelope of what was previously destroyed just from the construction to get utilities to the site. So I think that damage just while he was building was much larger than what was shown on the Mahar plan.
It may have been, but
Okay.
I was just trying to level set. It was way more than 6 trees. And so it's part of the scenic view shed. And the scenic view shed is that purple map right there. It's areas that can be seen from out in Canandaigua Lake. So it's not just from like the road. It's the whole lake, really. And they shot those points from a specific point in the lake, and I can't tell you what it is, but so this is where the larger trees are important.
Okay.
And hence the recommendation for the replacement of those larger trees. For our planting board.
Just a second.
I will say, like, I know on the last one, just from the old images I was seeing, the gravel path that was there for the time being, this is a much better improvement for the actual pathway that was going down there with the meandering and stuff. I don't know, has that changed much since the initial ones from years ago, or?
With the original, I don't know what the original path was. I'm kind of, again, got pulled into this. Jim called me and said, the trees are down, and the town contacted me. And I said, well, who took the trees down? And then he said, oh, well, and I was like, all right, let me meet with you and see what's going on, and just tried to, pick up the ball, pioneer the ball. And
Yeah, the reason I bring that up, we're working on this, is just the fact that that area in particular on Olinda and stuff has known blowouts coming across the road.
oh yeah,
water
yeah,
and
no,
stuff.
it's a big hill.
So basically, would it be the same effect if this pathway was more straight line down or didn't have anything to slow down that water? Which I thought was gonna be hardscaped. I didn't realize it was grass at the time or something.
Yeah.
Turf wise, it was going in there.
But it has the retention area.
On top of that
into
with the
the
retention,
underneath all
yes.
the lawn
So,
area.
so what we have is in that pocket, we're getting the entire upper part of the site.
Mhm.
And then on the lower part, this site actually comes down, and what we're going for is infiltration.
Mhm.
So the infiltration is hitting the beds. We're getting infiltration on the uphill side. It's hitting the beds. We have infiltration on the downhill side. The beds have been made very wide, so we're not only mitigating just the hill and then trying to have grass. This whole area, there'll be grass to cut just because of grass path coming down. Everything for that infiltration going across, and even if there's more trees there, I would still suggest the same stuff. I would say a grow low fescue, and that grow low fescue is going to get 6 to 12 inches. They can cut it once a year. It just sort of lays over. And I don't know if you guys have been to the Lakeshore House or whatever. They use this grow low fescue. And again, the strategy is fescue is very deep rooted, very drought tolerant. They don't have to water it. They can cut it once a year. They can let it come up, and it looks like a grassy hill. But when those roots establish, they're not watering, they're not, fertilizing, they're not doing all these things, and they have their cut path coming down. The cut path grass, I would imagine he would do sod. The sod that's there is a fescue sod. It's not a bluegrass. The reason being fescue sod is just less maintenance. It's going to be like, playground, kind of. So, unfortunately, that grass mix is way out. The grow low fescue is a fine fescue. And again, we could look at, like, if it were mine, okay, I'd say, yeah, I'm really into, I want to do blue stem, and I want to meadow this, and I want to, but blue stem there's a high management level. And I don't know, have you ever been over to
Once it's
Ganagagan?
established, it shouldn't be.
But have you ever been to the Ganagagan when they actually burn it, and they want to burn it about every 3 to 4 years, because burning it really, really helps it establish better. The other thing would be, prairie drop seed. Prairie drop seed, you're not going to be able to establish from seed. You're really looking at plugs, and to disrupt that hill and plug it, you're not gonna get the foliage created as quick as you want. So again, when we're looking at these great natives that can be used and non-natives, and then that balance, because establishing this hill back in a quick fashion, at least professionally for me, is very important that this is handled and this stuff establishes very quickly, because of the slope of the site, for sure.
This is actually a picture before construction. And these are actually some large black walnuts. 'Cause you
I think the one black walnut
They're not,
is
that's,
there now then.
Is there one?
that's way north of my property. There's, we didn't,
I looked it up in Google Earth.
well, that's.
This is your next door neighbor over
If you
here.
find the telephone pole, if there's a telephone pole there, because that's right on our property line. I don't know if you can see where there's a telephone pole, but
Right there.
we did not.
No, those are trees.
No, telephone poles right there. Yeah, you have it.
I don't know where there's. a
Oh, there's the
pole.
line. You can see the
We
line
were- You
anyway.
can see the lines there, but
Next to that
Oh, you
utility,
can see the conduit or whatever.
So there was,
The
all I'm
box.
saying is there was really large trees there. And that's what the planning board approved in part because of the, it was screening your house.
Yeah, whether it's dead ash or walnut.
so you know what,
Correct.
the walnut is there
you know,
still,
that's still there.
and I don't know the distance coming across the
There's
one
only so
corner.
much I could do with Google Earth.
No, and I get you, and you can see what we're saying. Some of these trees are layered in neighbors. But yes, there were big trees, and then these are those smaller ashes I was talking about. So it's just so you understand what was there. And I'm not saying he should have cut the hill down, but per municipal code, under those amount of inches, he doesn't need to come back. He can remove those plants.
But he
there-
should have,
There's
yeah.
a size on steep slope for property management, so, and again, what I don't want this to do, I don't wanna, I'm not trying to argue. I just wanna know, can we discuss the plan that's here? Can we come up with a resolution and can we move forward? Unfortunately, the damage is done. In an ideal world, you'd want to be here before we're having this conversation. I understand that. And, but I think if we just put our heads together, we could probably work through this pretty easily and just, move forward and get this established again. So, your idea would having, some more trees. And we could specify some trees, but again, I have these circles drawn conservatively. Trees are bigger. But what I would think is, and as I was looking at this, I'm trying to get height coming across. So if you're saying the magnolias are too small,
Definitely.
could I finish up? Because I said, if you're saying they're too small, I was gonna say something, and then it becomes definitely. And that's kind of aggressive because we're trying to work through this. So if you could just entertain me to talk. So again, the idea of this is to get trees that are coming across and layered in. So if it's larger trees, do we pick these areas? Are you saying you just want trees all the way across there?
That was the indication I got from the planning board chairman.
Replace what had been taken down.
So replacing what's taken down of is, if there were 6 trees that were at that, is it, and again, I'm drawing the circle small and conservatively, because what I don't want to do is come in here and draw this picture. So a London plane tree, when it fully canopies out, can be 100 feet across. And if I do a 100-foot circle, it would look silly. And I would
But
be,
that's,
I would be playing a trick with the board. So what I'm asking is, if we come across, like we're doing, these trees are bigger, we're shutting that down. Is this what we're asking for?
the planning board chairman's probably asking for shade trees, so he's asking for full size.
Okay, so larger trees.
Larger
coming
trees.
across. Okay, so again, if we take
but it's the design that you're putting in there. that's
What I'm talking about more is from a design standpoint. If you have. And then again, maybe this corner,
I would probably put one up your hill.
It's in,
Do we have
We-
to stay away from that infiltration
Yeah,
area?
so just real
Be
quick here.
careful of that, like
Well,
roots.
in this infiltration area, which is outlined under here, this is it.
it's in a different spot than what's in, we submitted an as-built as part of the submission.
Yeah.
The infiltration system is way south of here.
Mhm.
It is not in this spot. It's way, that's what caused those additional trees to be removed. And that was all approved and C of O by the town. We talked to them about, you know, what we had to do to put that humongous underground infiltration system in. This does not represent where it is. There's an as-built drawing that I had to do as part of this submission that shows the actual location of that underground infiltration system.
I think that might be in the project file.
It's
The as-built?
actually, we submitted it, there's an as-built site drawing that we submitted as part of the
That
application.
is the plan out of their,
And we
I mean, the
worked with the
as-built.
town, building
You know, the
inspector,
house on it and all that.
or he wouldn't have given us a C of O if we had put it in the wrong
I
spot.
did. Use the,
With my country.
I don't
It-
know.
this is-
My-
this is-
my
No,
vendor
this
is
would
working.
be-
That was nice, Dan.
I think it's before Mike.
Oh, this has been going on for a little while, your
It is a
project.
2-year
Yeah.
job.
yeah, I pulled the plan out of here. I pulled it out
It
of.
was
here.
an as-built, it was a as-built drawing that was done.
Just in a general sense, because we do everything, I know it's all on computer, but
I pulled this one, which is the site plan that was included
Site
in here.
plan final, but that's
I don't know if
As-built
that's,
is
there's
different.
the as,
Yeah,
site plan
general
as-built,
above it.
there you go.
as-built, that should be.
Site plan as, that's not the one.
That's
There's
what
an
I just
as-built
opened
going
up.
on there.
Mhm.
That doesn't show
No. It
the
doesn't-
infiltration system. The other one does. There's an as-built,
I just clicked the as-built.
okay.
That's the one I just opened.
Sure.
There's another one that shows the underground. There's another site.
well,
plan.
Jim,
I know, cause I
under my
spent
color
$3,000.
I've
Doing
kind of
it.
shown where that infiltration system is. And that was, again, from field measurements,
Yeah.
and that right to the inch.
Yeah.
But that whole system lays in here.
I guess stay away from that, right?
Well, you really, you can't plan on it. I mean, it's stone in the ground. It's meant to
Right.
act, collect water and infiltrate.
Okay.
And roots within that, are not going to do any good for creating infiltration and purification. So again, as we're looking at what you're saying, and again, I'm looking more from this aesthetic of getting flow. And that's what I was saying with the trees. But if we come in and we have shade tree, shade tree, shade tree. We had one already, we flank it a few more. We pull another one up the hill where the existing tulip tree is. And we start to now, we're really worked in around that system. We'd be talking, instead of the 3 magnolias, 3 large shade trees. The London plane would be flanked, maybe it's with 2 maples. We could pull up the hill and again, as far as that specific variety, I'm pretty open. If it's a shade tree and it's something that's on the list, I think we could label that out. Is this create a comfortability?
I'd say it's an improvement.
Oh,
absolutely.
yeah.
Okay, and then, with the Rose of Sharon, again, this is just me, I love the plant, Lindera benzoin.
I love it too.
So, if Rose of Sharon went to Lindera benzoin, we would have that out.
That would be.
And my only last question is, and I'm not trying to be like a stick in the mud, but I have a client, and I know what his wife likes too. And with the Spirea, and I know you said it scored a 62 out of 100. I guess I would have to ask you, because I could go, okay, let's use all fragrance Shumac, happen to love it, happen to love the color, happen to love what it does. It retains the soil. There's no flowering, it's not within their wheelhouse of aesthetic. So I'm trying to stabilize that hill and come up with a plan and give them what they like also. And I don't know a 62 out of 100, but I can tell you this, it's a great soil erosion plant. And, you know, I don't know what else you would suggest.
Edith,
Well, I am thinking about, I don't know, I would have to do some research before I would make any kind of recommendation on it. 'Cause there are, the sumac is fine, you know, 9-bark is a nice little shrubby plant that has lots of color to the leaves, does bloom. It's native, there
I
are
like
options.
button bush.
Mhm.
Button bush
Well,
is great.
buttonbush likes a
It's
lot
so
of,
wet.
water,
Yeah.
so it would need to, but there's, you know, there's all kinds of things.
So
Maybe
you
not.
need
I would-
something that's got a strong root
You need,
system
you need
to hold
strong
that
root
thing. That's
system.
the important
Yeah,
thing.
that's
And you might
important.
not need a silver bullet. There could be a couple.
There
a
could
grouping.
be different things, yeah, I was
Not
wondering
common,
when you
all
were
that stuff.
speaking of tulip tree, do you mean a tulip poplar? They're
Yes.
not really a poplar, okay.
Mhm.
Those are lovely,
Mhm.
they're a great native tree.
Mhm.
And they are actually a magnolia. They're not really a poplar.
Really?
Yeah, that's true. But, and if you're looking for American sycamore, I would have you looked at White Oak Nursery?
But are they,
Mhm.
and again, you see,
Well, I'm just.
we can look
at.
anywhere, the commercial availability, we're so far in the weeds now. That I understand what you're trying to do, okay? But there is someone that has a sense of aesthetic that may be different than ours. We all have a different style. And it is, how do we compromise those styles and make this correct for everyone? So with the tulip trees, I think we're good. We're good with the sugar maples. Everybody's good with that. Is London plane tree acceptable, or is that just on your can't be planted list? Because a lot of people plant them and they show up on a lot of plans, and it's a really good selection. But what I want to do is come to a resolution, not
Well, I don't have any.
I do this and then it's this, and I like this and they like that,
Yeah.
because that's an unfair position to put anybody in.
And the client has their likes too.
They
Of
do,
course.
they do.
Plane
It-
tree is not an objection, it's,
No.
you know, it's,
And I would.
are they subject to the blight, to the fungus blight?
They're
as the American?
less susceptible to the anthracnose
Yeah.
than the American is. And the reemergence after happens much quicker.
Mhm.
So on an American, when anthracnose hits it, they usually don't kill it.
No, they don't.
But it'll
takes them a long to-
defoliate, and they
yeah,
could
a little bit.
defoliate really till late August and have a second emergence.
Mhm.
Whereas a London plane tree, being less susceptible, being a hybrid of the two, even when it hits it, that first emergence may retard the growth of the leaf. Some of those leaves will drop and stay, and then they'll have a second emergence of leaf where they come back without having to go out and inject. So, you know, and again, I'm looking at it environmentally too. I don't want to put stuff in that somebody's got to be sticking a, you know, syringe in all the time, shooting chemicals, because I don't think that's so
Yeah,
great
well,
either.
I don't think
No.
anybody does that. with
No,
this.
I'm not saying
Right,
you do.
but-
I'm not saying you do. That's,
Our tree team did come up with some documents recently. They're still in draft.
Yes.
but, there is a shrub one and small tree that's available. We can send you a link to that.
well, again, what I'd like to do is I have a customer who has a concern, and I want to work through our concerns, because you sending me a link, right? And then I go, well, there's nothing there that they like. And it becomes this back and forth. And again, I don't think that's fair. And I don't think that's environmentally fair, because there's an issue here that we have to resolve. And part of it is stabilizing this hill. So as we're having our discussion, Rosa Sharon becomes Lindera benzoin. We would incorporate these trees in, and those trees, tulip, sugar maple, you said London Plains, okay. we could throw, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 suggestions coming across. There may be duplicates. Sometimes we do more than one, things grow naturally that way. I think the last big point of contention here is the spirea. So with the spirea, I guess I would ask, Mr. Sweatman, because I don't want to talk for him. I happen to like fragrant sumac. It stabilizes a hill. It'll get a beautiful red color. It's not going to have the blossom that you have with the spirea. I mean, Jim, would you be okay with stabilizing that hill with fragrant sumac?
Fine with me.
Okay,
What about the missus?
She's just gonna have to live with it.
Jim will blame me.
Yeah.
Well,
And she'll
I'll go out
just,
there with spray paint and I'll spray paint.
Yeah.
she'll be,
Nice flowering
Yeah.
plants.
she'll be mad at me. We have the bayberry, which wasn't listed on the original thing, which is a semi-evergreen, and they get big in mass. What I may do with the Lindera benzoin, so looking at it, I'd probably pull this drift of bayberry down a little more and take that and plug it more into the corner. Okay.
Seems fine.
The flowering crab, is that something everybody's okay with on a flowering crab? We had one down in the corner that was one we were suggesting to plant. We use the
Everybody in
fragrant,
weather has one, but-
I think they're pretty. That's my opinion.
use the fragrant sumac down below. The hydrangeas, the flowering hydrangeas, the woody varieties, if everybody's okay with that. And, if this sounds appropriate, what the engineer asked was by the 16th to have a revised plan. So what I said to the planning board chairman, I said, well, what I'd be hopeful for is that we could have a real good conversation. We'd make those changes, get this resubmitted by the 16th. I said, hopefully the committee, the EC board would be able to say, we're happy with what we heard directionally. You have it on the record, this adding, now when I say adding, some of the trees were there. So it's not like we're adding 7 to account, but the 7 across, changing these few things out. And would this suffice to move the ball forward with everyone?
Why don't I go around the table and the board members have any comments?
I mean, we'll definitely have to see the revised drawing after that. And I hope we're not misconstruing anything on our part as the ECB. It's not us heckling or trying to tighten the screws on an individual property or anything. It's us looking out for the entirety of the town and, the species that we would like to see, not saying that they have to be planted. That's what we would like to see, and we're trying to move towards that. So I think changing out some of that stuff is absolutely great and wonderful and working with us in this species, but outside of providing lists and kind of generalized species, we're not gonna be able to tell you, change that one for one, obviously, because it's not in code or anything, but I think this is a good start. And once we see the revised drawing, we can go from there.
In I promise you, the revised drawing will be exactly what I just discussed with you. I'm like totally a guy of my word. I've been coming to the boards for 30 years and I've had native stuff and and I get it. And I get your guys' position. I get what you're trying to do. And I'm trying to middleman this for the Sweatmans
100%, yeah.
and just get us to a happy resolution.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think we are at least, one of us needs to see the final plan to say, okay.
And then it
it's
would
a-
be the planning board if
Yeah.
they're okay with it, because I know they're looking for bigger trees.
They're
Yeah.
essentially looking for us to be okay with it.
Yeah.
So.
So you would see that by the 16th, that would come to you. And I guess I would ask the board, if that is consistent with our discussion, that it wouldn't be something that changes. And I'm going to keep it consistent with what we're talking about tonight. I just want to make sure directionally we're going that way. Because again, the hill is ripped up and I just think that I don't want to be the henny penny guy. It's just, to me, that should be stabilized. It bothers me. It's like, this should happen. So I'm trying to get that to move forward to happen because I do think that's important.
Patty on Linda State.
I'm happy with the conversation. I'm in better understanding as I'm really not a plant person. A few of us know their plants and their Latin and all that. I only know what works or doesn't work in my own garden, but I do appreciate the discussion. I think the plan's gonna turn out great. And I appreciate Mr. Swatman agreeing to the replacing of the spirea, and it sounds like it's gonna be a beautiful plant. So for me, I'm good.
Good to go.
Yeah, good discussion. So how mature will the trees be that are gonna be planted?
Well, the by town code, on anything that goes to site plan, they want to see 2.5 to 3 inch trees. And again, there's a little bit of a misnomer with what a 2.5 to 3 inch tree is anymore. So I don't know if you went like to Mr. Swetman's property, there were things that said that they were going to be 2.5 to 3 inch trees, and you go up and they're 3.5 and 4 inch. I don't know what nurseries use for. I don't know what, yeah, but I don't know what nurseries use anymore for their calculations, because these trees come in and they're like 2.5, and you look at them and you go, oh, we used to call that 1 3/4, you know, it's kind of, so larger size. One of the things is, getting the grass path in is actually going to create the access to get the trees up there, because it's a lot easier bringing them up for him than it's bringing them down.
I think the planning board will comment more on the grass path probably than we will.
Okay.
I know there was concern about washouts and stuff. And we brought that forward, but they'll probably talk to you more about that.
Yeah.
And that's just because of the area.
Correct.
I think your intention is to sod that, correct?
Yeah, it's all gonna be grass.
So it'll be an
Uh,
immediate
it's all
cover.
it's not gonna
Yeah,
be-
that's good.
Just to put things in perspective a little bit. We planted currently in our site right now, existing is over 300 new plantings. I don't know how many hundreds of new plantings we've got going in this one. So I want to just step back and just understand about exactly what we're doing here and try and make everybody understand that we have done so much more than any of my neighbors or anything else like that to make this beautiful. And my goal is to make this a beautiful place and to continue that. And that is what we're trying to do here.
Thank you.
We're not against that. This came to us because it was a remediation for a violation, so. We give our advice and we move forward with that.
I get it. I had to do a remediation for you. Somebody cut all their trees down, and Anthony called me and needed all those variety of trees and for the small ones, and I did a caliper calculation and how many small trees you should do to fill that caliper.
Sometimes it happens.
And Anthony goes, where did you get all this math? And I said, books are amazing things, man. You read them and you can really come up with some great stuff. So anyway. Okay, well, if you're comfortable with this discussion, just to summarize for me, the Rose of Sharon route, again, Lindera benzoin or something native will be the replacement. The bayberries will move down. The bayberry will get added to the list. It wasn't there, but it was always on the plan. As far as the trees coming up, the magnolias are gone. They'll be put into 3 large caliper shade trees. The plane tree will have a few trees going up the hill that flank that to get this flow where it's not a total block for Mr. Swetman. There are look-tos, as I would call them, and peaks between the canopy, but we're restoring the canopy is what you're looking for. We'll also move one up the hill flanking the tulip tree. And I think, and obviously we're changing the spirea to fragrant sumac, and that would, kind of tidy stuff up that if you got the plan back with those revisions on the 16th, you could feel comfortable that we came to a fair kind of mitigation of
Seems
this.
like it.
Yep.
Sounds like
Good to
it.
go.
Yep. And whatever you could put in native for the shade trees would be wonderful.
The shade trees will all be in natives.
Good.
Sounds great.
Well, whoop, knock that from the record. The plane tree is not a native, but it's gonna be in there.
It is
So I'd be a liar if I
Yeah,
sent
it's
it back
a
and it says
hybrid,
that.
yeah.
Agreed on the plan.
See,
Yeah.
we can get ourselves in trouble if we're not careful. I wanna be careful.
Very good. Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Is that good? All right.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you
Flag.
both.
Thanks, everybody, for your time.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Sorry, you got bad advice from your neighbors.
We're all right. Have a nice night.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, our next one up would be Western Honda. They are looking to put in parking lot. Do we still have our
They'll be on the
person?
whole time.
Jim, you on the line still?
Probably hung up
If
on
I
the
went to
website.
get dinner.
May have gone to sleep, yes. Oh.
Oh, goodness.
We want native trees in this parking lot.
Yeah, now we're on a roll, right?
If you'd like to introduce your project while I pull it up, that would be great.
Sorry, I'm having some trouble making out what you just said.
If you'd like to introduce your project while we're pulling it up on the screen, go right ahead.
Yeah, of course. So, yeah, we're located first here at the existing Westford Honda, corner of Route 332 and Everson Road. My name is James Ritzenthaler. I'm with Passrow Associates, one of the engineers on the project. Listening in also is our owner representative here, James Malka. Yeah, so our project consists of a 2.63 acre lot on the corner, like I said, right there, next to the existing Western Honda. We are proposing a 28,000, just shy of 29,000 square foot parking lot for the display and storage of cars for the existing car dealership. The project fits in with the existing use and trends of the area. Obviously we do. The whole street is a 4-lane, 6-lane, depending on the turn lanes, divided highway, mostly all car dealerships. So we are we are fitting in with the existing use of the area. We're not proposing a parking lot any farther than we already have these. We're not proposing any parking lot any farther into the lot to encroach on the existing wetlands. We have federal wetlands in the back to the west of the parking lot there. But they are federal wetlands. They do not require any buffers, and we are not proposing any disturbance to those wetlands. We are planning on protecting them during construction with orange construction fencing. As far as some of the green space on site, it's, like I said, a 2.63 acre lot. We are proposing 8% interior green space for the green islands and more cutouts there. So the interior parking area will be 8% green space, and over the entire parcel, we're at 75% green space. Obviously, it's a pretty large number, but we're not proposing a building anywhere, and we are not encroaching on any of the wetlands site. In addition to that green space, I've lost my train of thought. In addition to that green space, we are proposing 10 new trees on the lot. We are not taking any existing trees down. We are leaving the existing landscape trees, all those vehicles along the right of way. We're leaving all those in place. The parking lot is going over what is now basically just lawn area. And the islands in the parking lot do include 10 new trees along with some other shrubs and landscaping. We're also having all the stormwater sheet drain down to the south. It will follow pretty much existing grading. We're not really making any significant grade changes on the foot or so across the site, and the stormwater will follow existing grading to sheet drain to the south, and will be collected by 2 new catch basins to the south, bordering along the southern property line. those catch basins will collect water and redirect it towards the existing infrastructure on the Westford site. So that's pretty much all I have so far. It's not a very complicated project. Just trying to improve upon the site and improve upon the use of Westford Honda there, and have them kind of support the customers and support their existing business with a little more display and storage parking. If you guys have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer.
I will say form-based code is new for us. So I don't believe we've done much with form-based code yet. So we may have questions and it might be for staff to answer or to work with you to answer. But I will let the board talk.
I guess I didn't get a chance to actually look through it thoroughly. Was there infiltration points within
That's
those
what I
islands?
was wondering
Yeah.
too. Is there since the wetland is that close and it is lawn area currently, is that what I understand? That is there any adaptation for infiltration if this is hard top?
And it's for car storage, correct?
Yes,
So
it's
there's
for
gonna
car
be
storage.
gas
Yeah,
and oil
I know.
and salts. that are
It
gonna
would be,
going
it would be
over.
good to have some infiltration, particularly close to the parking areas there where people have, you know.
By infiltration, you mean in the parking lot
In the
itself?
parking lot, yes, wetlands are by definition kind of, they can expand pretty quickly when we get 4-inch rains in 45 minutes like we have done lately.
Yeah.
Yes, it would be, yes, you know, they're taking care of the runoff, sheet runoff, but it probably would be prudent to have some infiltration capability in the middle of this parking lot, or else it's, you know, wading pools are not great.
There's not a change in the type of asphalt they're putting down. It's
Mhm.
having areas where it would drain
Mhm.
to.
Like where the
Yeah.
islands are, like what
Yeah.
the city has downtown.
Yeah, like
are
this,
those-
what the
yeah.
city has, just an area, you know, something like a large French drain that went through the middle of it that's gravel underneath and it could accommodate some runoff from that. Because that wetland may not stay the same size. And it's really close there. I'm glad they're not doing anything in it, but
It's very
the
close.
kinds of rains we have had lately are pretty
the wetland
severe.
line that
Yeah.
comes over the dots, yeah.
It looks like there might be some place they could put in some infiltration in the interior of that lot.
Eric, and
That would be beneficial to the
this
company
would be-
also.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is there like a drainage
The
plan?
drainage, the
Looks
sheet
like it's just
drainage is
around
headed
it.
to south there. Yeah. You can see where that would go, but you know,
Yeah, and one thing to note for this is that we are in D soils in this area, so infiltration practices aren't typically very viable in D soils, but it's something that we could take a look at.
well, think about it, I think, you know, I like your trees, I like that you're leaving the maples along the street and all that, but you know, wetlands are not confined.
So is the
It says plus or minus 0.88. right?
the
Yes,
num-
I know.
number of cars being kept on site, is that going to be increasing from what there is currently?
Yeah, so this would provide the ability to store the for sale cars.
Mhm.
Yeah,
So yeah, the number that they need, this would provide for that. So yeah, there would be an increase in the
yeah. I know some of the discussions of form-based code with regards to the auto dealerships was trying to promote the idea that cars would actually be stored elsewhere. You would have a limited number of vehicles on site, but I guess we're a ways off from from doing that.
Yeah, and I didn't see that, I'm not familiar with that, I guess, and I didn't see it in any of the variances or anything like that.
Yeah, I think there was a desire to avoid the area looking more like Henrietta. That already is.
Yeah, that's the zone.
Paved paradise. and
what
put
did
up
you
a
say
parking
that-
lot.
There was something about runoff going to the south.
Yes. you
Where-
can see.
where is that
There's
on the
a swale there.
So yeah, on the sheet that you're showing right now, there's a proposed catch basin in the southwest corner of the parking lot. And there's also one in the middle, like bottom, I guess we'll say, of the parking lot in the grass area there next to the entrance to this parking lot. Those two catch basins will be what's catching the runoff from these areas, and then it will collect connect into the existing catch basins on the western Honda site.
Okay.
Okay.
What
Good.
was it 100-year flood that those are usually, or is it 50 that they still do?
Yeah, have those, how is it sized? Is it sized for 100-year storm, or is it sized for 50 or 25 or what?
I am not sure on the existing infrastructure, like with the, let me see.
It's come up
So
on
we-
late, so I don't know.
We would be able to handle the 25 or 100-year storm without an issue. The pipes are large enough. And a lot of this area is already draining to the space. Granted, it's grass now and not pavement. But based on the existing sizes of the storm, we wouldn't have an issue.
There's probably a big SWIP report. There should be a SWIP report, right?
I don't know.
I mean, usually,
It ought to be a SWIP somewhere.
that's usually a pretty hefty document.
I do not see one.
Did you all do a SWIP? Yet?
SWIP for this?
Yeah.
No, we are we're under the requirements for a SWIP.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I did notice when I was looking through the form-based code that it said the ground surface of landscaped areas must be planted with shrubs, grasses, or perennials, or a combination of all. So in the areas where you have trees, it sounds like, and this is something that I think staff would need to clarify for me, but it sounds like it wants more like landscape areas and borders with those trees.
So we are providing some shrubs on the interior islands, but if there was a need for more of that landscaping, that shrubbery and perennials, as mentioned on the exterior of the part of the area, we could take a look at that.
So,
Yeah.
so
That would
the
be good.
section of the form-based code was 3C34. I know they have kind of odd numbers compared to the rest of our code, but let's see. There's also the form-based code, it's C1A, and it talked about all parking lot perimeters must be landscaped. So you may want to check some of those sections of code. You may not have enough landscaping for this. And if you can put any on that east side in between your parking lot and the wetland there, it would help mitigate any runoff from the parking lot. So any of your oils or salts or whatever. It was different trying to figure out some of these variances. I know the form-based code is very new. So it's gonna be very difficult to get your variances. So if there's a way you could maybe like increase those internal landscaped, I forget what they're called, the internal landscaped areas from 8 to 10%. it's not that much, and if you could get rid of a variance, it may help you.
Yeah, and we'll definitely take a look at that. The main restrictions on the site are we're trying to not encroach closer to the right of way, closer to the wetland. And if you look at the grading plan, yeah, on this grading plan, you can see that the road is somewhat steep down towards the parking lot as well.
Yeah.
So in order to add to that island, the green space there, we'd have to end up kind of expanding the parking lot out and encroach and make more disturbance.
Or if there's a
And more
different,
disturbance to the wetland.
yeah, if
Or
there's a
some
different
disturbance
way
to
to
the
add
wetland.
some more landscaping inside there, you know,
Not taking out 2 spots. And we got it.
Yeah, if you
Yeah.
could take out a few parking spaces, you could probably
That's-
increase that without having to grow the size of the parking lot.
and then you could get rid of that variance, which may help you.
Okay.
Some of the other things, you know, like the pedestrian routes and stuff, I don't think, you know, I can really comment on some of those things as much, but,
Yeah, and that was, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Josh Sexton. He's the project manager on this project here with me at Passera. And he was in contact with the planning board initially, and he asked, are we the first car dealership to go through this process since this code has come into effect? And they said yes. So some of those variances, pedestrian walkway, things like that, he talked to them on that. And it was kind of seemed that those things were not made for us or with us in mind. So some of those variances,
but I did
or
see,
those breaks of code don't
Yeah.
really apply to uses like this as much.
I did see you had like that little, I don't know what's there, but that little center line in between your landscape bubbles there in the inside. You know, maybe you could have stretched that length out a little bit and it could be a pedestrian walkway, or maybe you could do
Yeah.
something.
So that area right now is proposed as green space, and typically, you know, as anybody who's gone to look at a car dealership, typically it's not a high traffic area, especially on a storage lot like this. There aren't enough cut throughs or anything like that where somebody would be driving faster. Typically, anybody in this area who's walking will be walking in the pavement in between cars in the actual parking lot itself, looking at cars. So we don't believe pedestrian walkways will be needed as much, but if it is determined by the zoning board that it is a requirement, we can look at that.
I'm just saying, because you have that already there, and if you just stretched it out a little bit, it might be a way to get rid of another variance. That's, whatever you can do in that regard definitely helps you with the zoning board.
Thank you.
Anyone else have any comments?
No.
Did you have any questions for us?
Not especially, no, I don't think I have anything.
Well, their green space in the center there would be a great thing to plant as an infiltration basin, actually. You know, there are plants that are
You mean like a-
beautiful that would do a nice job of soaking up all
Like a
kinds of
What
things,
is
you
it, the
know.
biofiltration?
Biofiltration, et cetera, yeah. They've got the space there, they're planning to plant it anyway, so plant stuff that's going to be salt and tolerant and sink it a little bit so that it makes an infiltration place. That's all. It's a perfect opportunity.
That's a great idea. Right? Well, thank you so much for attending. Sorry, we had technical issues here.
Yeah, Yeah, no worries. Then I can get on, present to this thing.
Sorry for the wait, okay.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Yeah,
Sorry about the
One
wait.
question I did have,
Oh.
is there any further resolution made tonight? This is my first time in front of the candidate, but, conservation board. Is
Oh.
there any further resolution made tonight, or do you guys just forward on your, comments and thank you?
We're an advisory board, so we forward our recommendations onto the planning board, and then they may or may not act upon that. Or the zoning board in this case, I'm sorry. I guess that's your first one up.
Well, yeah, the zoning board's been rescheduled, so now it's the day after. the planning board.
We'll all get our thoughts.
But yeah, they'll get our recommendations, so all the things that we talked about will be in the minutes, and then there will be a list of recommendations that we have, and that will be shared along.
All right, great. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, bye.
Good battery life on that phone.
Yeah, thanks for,
Yeah.
thanks for letting us
Wow.
use the phone.
It's probably like on 10.
You haven't had kids playing games on that one, have you?
We have a very short last one.
Yeah, why did we get this?
I was wondering the
It's, I said,
same.
look at this, it's
Yeah.
nothing there.
There's nothing there. I drove by it
It's just
on
a little-
Monday
Yeah.
or Tuesday.
Yeah,
It's just a field.
yeah,
Mhm.
I have no comments.
Is there a
me
creek
neither.
that's in the back
My
there or
comment was,
something?
why are we seeing this? It is just a field.
Maybe
Just
because it's a
subdividing?
subdivision,
Yeah,
or
we don't always
maybe,
see 'em, though.
oh, I bet you this is why.
Oh, the ag advisor. committee.
It's probably near or in an ag district. So
No,
we might have gotten it because of that.
I don't know if it's that.
130, so.
Yeah.
No, it's the
more
more
other
subdivisions all around there.
Yeah.
You should.
It's a street with multiple homes.
Yeah, it's like the only open space left there and among those houses.
Hmm.
It's straightforward.
Yeah,
The sizes are correct and,
it's got homes all around it, so.
yeah, it does.
Suggest native shrubbery.
Why not?
We're always subdividing.
Although we can say, we suggest
Yeah.
landscaping.
That's during the next phase.
Well,
Yeah,
what
when
we
they say what they wanna
suggest.
put on it.
It's got dark sky compliant lighting. What else can we say?
Yep.
I'm looking at floodlights in a tree of heaven. What do you think?
Oh, you may burn for that, yes.
Oh, yeah, you can see it.
That's
This
my
is in your
street, Laurel
neighborhood.
Lane, yeah.
I know I sent a letter out to you
Yeah.
because of the subdivision for the planning board.
Yeah,
Um,
You live on Laurel Lane?
I'm on Laurel Lane.
You're still on that road.
Yeah, used to be on that.
Yeah. Well, it's been a while, like 18 years ago.
so I say,
Nice
Go
part of
Good
town.
to go.
go ahead.
Not roads very
subdivide.
busy.
I don't care.
No comment.
No,
No
we're
comment.
good. We're good.
Yeah. Very nice. Goodbye. As you can see, we have a new format. If you ever want a copy of the agenda, you can go into Cloud Permit.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, we go back. So you just click on where it says Environmental Conservation Board, pick the day that you want, and you can just click download agenda. And there it is. So as soon as things get added, you can do that for the agenda. I just put some generic sorts of things for us, like newsletter, display case. I'll include other stuff in the minutes, but for this, I just kept it kind of general. Makes it easy because you have to actually go in and configure it to print out this extra stuff for the agenda, so.
Well, the same thing we done for the minutes next, I guess, or.
Well, no.
Okay.
No, the minutes are done differently, but I put in generic stuff here because it's pretty much, they put in HTML code
Okay.
and it generates the agenda from that. So Newsletter. We have a deadline coming up. I want to say it's the 26th, but I might be misremembering. But if you have an article that you want to write for the newsletter,
How about ticks?
Yeah, that's
I
good.
participated in the tick blitz
Oh,
last
great.
week and
That's good.
That's good. That's very kindly.
found
yeah.
very few ticks,
You
but
can talk about the new one, the Lone
we're looking
Star.
for the Lone Star.
I didn't realize
it was
Asian
here.
down here.
it's
Yeah.
here.
It's in New York all over and
Yeah.
around. I didn't know, because we would worry about it down south, but like, no, it's here and New York is one of the fastest growing populations of it.
Yeah,
Of
it's
course
really
it
good.
is.
It's way up.
Yeah. That would be a really good thing to do.
Right.
is,
Yeah, that's
get
Yeah.
those up, yeah.
Okay, I'll.
Actually, I have, almost have a soil, the herd in the soil.
Oh, nice.
Done, except my computer is at the Exorcist right
The
now.
recycling
So
center in
if it
Victor.
comes back.
I'll take both articles if you,
Okay, well,
yeah, I'm good with having more than
Well, I
one
have
CD
not.
article.
no idea. So,
I like how you put it out to the public, if someone has an interest or doing an article,
Yep.
that we could definitely entertain that. That's kind of cool idea.
I've been asking different people and sometimes I get yeses, sometimes it doesn't end up working out,
Right.
but yeah, I've asked at the watershed. John Robitella,
Oh, nice.
he's got an article for the upcoming issue.
Nice,
Good.
nice.
His is on the Feldsquorum and the deviation in the like surveying of the land and stuff like that, so.
Mhm, mhm.
I'm trying to put more of like our content and the history content because people like that stuff.
Yeah.
And so more people subscribe and get the newsy parts that they want to share.
Good.
I think our stuff is definitely gets some of the more clicks, click throughs and stuff.
I think I'll definitely be doing an article on natives and plantings and definitions for
Okay.
an upcoming one.
Perfect,
Yeah.
perfect.
Inspired by tonight's reading.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's gonna be an ongoing thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
I mean,
So I did send out something, I wrote up something with native invasive, if you got comments on it. So yes, any articles come my way? Display case.
Well, it needs to be changed out. I was thinking of doing, well, I've got a couple things in mind, but I will try to get it done before the month is over. I am thinking about either good bugs, because people tend to think bugs, bad, kill, you know. And many of them are beneficials. And I've always thought I would do one on fossils because the Devonian fossils here
Oh,
are
very
just
nice.
fantastic. I
Yeah.
just took a kid from, not a kid, he's 30, from Massachusetts. out to Oneonta. Oh, he's a child, pardon me. Oh, yes, a mere child. He took some, he had never been fossil hunting before. We went up the gully at Oneonta and he found a group of trilobites, which he
nice.
took back to MIT where he works and put under the electron microscope. Oh, it is just
Incredible
fantastic
pictures.
Wow.
what's in there. Oh, wow. So I'm inspired with fossils again, but it's, you know,
That would be
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, I like that.
I was wondering if I put up something on what you would find for fossils here. Is there a capability of putting out a handout that people could take a fossil key, you know, because I have some that I have used with school kids before, you know.
We could
Could we do that?
probably put something in the rack that's there and you could put a little note.
Yeah,
If
and get a,
you-
you know,
got a
take a fossil
docu-
key, yeah.
Yeah, if you got a
Uh-huh.
document, I
Mhm.
could probably put it on the website and generate a
Okay,
QR
okay.
code.
I'll
So
do
if
that,
people
yeah.
wanted to scan it.
I don't do QR codes.
Yeah.
But.
help you.
but-
He knows all this.
Watch your copyright on.
I have, I have done this fossil gig with schools and the watershed days and stuff for years, and we make Wonder Bread fossils, and I have like 40 baggies full of fossils that the kids can take out and compare to their fossil key and all of this, so they know what they're looking for
Yeah.
when they go walking, and it's a great, such fun. Oh,
It is
love
great
it.
fun.
Yeah. So I'm thinking about putting some of that stuff up. I have.
Oh,
Wait.
that would be wonderful. We could either have it
Okay.
at the clerk's office or we could have
Okay.
it in the rack.
Okay,
I'm sure either one would work.
okay, very good. I will do that.
Would be excited.
Yes.
Yeah. Let's see, does anyone have any suggestions for budgets for next year? Because that discussion is coming up this month and I'll be.
Let's live by example and rip out the stuff up front that he mentioned.
Yeah, get your pickup truck and your chain.
You
and
got it.
Yeah,
I'd
Well,
bring traffic down.
Pickaxe,
Well-
and we'll have fun.
I
Yeah.
think most of this,
Yeah,
most of the
demand
things
that.
like the Bradford pears and stuff
Yeah.
are dying anyway. And they will be replaced fairly soon. They have some pretty bad junctions.
I trussed mine up
They're-
last
yeah.
weekend with.
Yeah, they're
come along and said-
splitting and there's fungus, and
Okay,
so I would say probably in the next
They'll take care of
5 to
them-
10
they'll take care of
years, they're going
themselves.
to die
Yeah.
anyhow.
although it's not a bad idea. We can suggest that they add some into our budget for.
Yes, for native planting
Yeah,
and,
not
you know,
everything, but
Yeah,
just start.
I think it'd be a great thing, there's spaces where we could have a demonstration
Yeah.
plot of.
Yeah, what's over
Yeah.
the property
Yeah.
across the street where the log cabin is right now.
That would be great.
Yeah.
We had a little
Yeah.
native garden as an example
Oh,
for,
yeah.
Wouldn't that be
for
fun?
anybody in the
Yeah.
town, whether it's developers. Here you go, this is what it looks like. And you can't make it look
Yeah,
good.
We can have a sample rain garden somewhere.
Yeah,
I
we
think that'd be a
could,
good
yes,
use of this
okay.
Excellent idea.
I think that would be a
So
great
native
thing
can
to
be
do.
beautiful.
Yeah,
We
definitely.
can get a banner out there too.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Coming to your town in 2025, like the cap, like the cap.
There you go. So, any other ideas for budget for next year? Our budget is usually training and trees, so.
Yeah,
Yes, well, trainings and, yeah.
So that's what it usually goes for, but I can see if they can up it a little bit for either some display garden.
Yeah, I think
Or
rain
for-
garden would be a super thing to do,
That'd be a-
yeah.
that'd be
Especially
a
right here
good
at the building.
idea.
Uh-huh,
Yeah.
yeah. That
Um,
would.
I mean, there's the dead space over there.
Well, the trees around this building were planted before anybody started thinking about natives.
Oh,
Those ones out
absolutely.
front that are all over the roof are.
Yeah.
How old is
They're
this
a great bad
building now?
example, but,
90s?
but I don't.
We did
go
the
in
survey
killing them.
It's
before
out,
Yeah.
they built
there's
this
a
building.
stone out on the
It's
building.
the cornerstone there,
Mhm.
they could notice that.
So I forget what it says, but there is one. out
Yeah.
there.
Maybe it says for.
Okay, yeah, I think that would be nice and there could eventually be signage with it and different things like that, so.
Yeah, and instead of, I mean, it's nice if we do the individual trees here and there, but like just to
Correct.
go towards a larger goal would be great.
Yeah, definitely. Does anyone have any updates on their projects?
No, but it sounds like I could tie all that stuff right into mine eventually in the
Stuck
newsletter,
in the
so.
mud on mine.
Well, if it isn't working for you and you wanna do something different, I'm good with that too, so.
Okay.
So I'm still working through, looking at ZBA minutes and looking at granted variances and trying to categorize them.
Okay.
Because I don't think anyone's doing that. I mean, we
No.
talked about
I
it.
think that would be really valuable.
Actually, it's in the comp plan
Okay.
to kind of like monitor
Yeah.
that stuff. So that is actually a goal of the UCV.
Yeah,
in-
Quantify it, it's very valuable.
Very nice. That's a lot of
work.
reading and.
A lot of deferrals I've noticed. Things are brought up.
Oh, you mean
Yeah,
like
true, true.
continue? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I'll come back to this.
Yep. Definitely. I think that's great. Any other, do you got any ideas, Mark?
I'm sorry, thank you, I gotta bring some a little more.
It's all good.
Yeah.
I know summer's a hard time.
I'm just
Oh, my.
learning a lot right now.
It's,
You're getting some good learning right up front, but
Yeah.
I don't remember having like all that stuff in the beginning.
Yeah. So yeah, anybody's got anything they want to share? I had. one
Tree
thing-
committee is going around to the parks and the cemeteries and surveying what's there and what might need some help or removal and things, the parks staff is such an improvement over what was contracted for before. Things are looking so much better and the trees are so much healthier. They are actually living and we have not ripped up any black plastic from around anything for a while.
Very nice.
So we are meeting this Saturday.
You don't need the Gorham thing.
Yeah, we'll be trucking around some more of them this Saturday.
Perfect.
But Ononda, is there knotweed growing right at the fence there?
Oh, there's
Is that what I
everything
saw
growing.
at the
on
gate?
it.
On the
Ananda is
upland?
overrun with knotweed, with Japanese honeysuckle, with Moldiflora
Yeah, I was
rose,
trying
oh
to comment
yeah.
to my wife when we were taking the kids down to the
Buckthorn,
beach. I was
oh
like,
yeah, garlic
God.
mustard. There's just
I think
everything,
you need the garlic
everything.
mustard,
It's
but-
just awful, yeah.
Before it sees.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know Eric had reached out to Lindsay and she said that his messages were going to spam, so.
Oh dear.
So
Okay,
there was a
well,
delay at
okay,
that
well,
stuff,
he and I
so.
have been
Cutting party.
considering
Slash and burn.
midnight 4-8 slash and burn.
You know,
And
even the
pesticide.
fall's great for that sort of
Yes,
stuff,
yes,
so.
that's right.
How are the
And,
hemlocks doing down there?
Uh,
I haven't been up that way in a long time.
they were looking pretty good the last time we were through there to
Okay.
check. They looked like the treatment was
Yeah.
hanging in on it.
Definitely worth it
Speaking of
then.
things that prevent erosion, that is really crucial for
Yeah.
that, and for those gullies. It's,
So what I handed out was part of my project. I want to pass this along to the ordinance committee. It's just a simple update for the split lot.
mhm.
So it's the lot coverage for those.
Ah, yes.
So if
Mhm.
you wanna make any more changes, I just marked this one up and that's all I'm gonna send them.
Yeah.
Like,
Mhm.
short and sweet.
Short and sweet, and maybe it can be added into the right section in our code.
Great idea.
But
Yes, very good.
thank you. All I want is motion. So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Perfect.
A number.
I will give that along to them.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what I'll look at. Has anybody got any suggestions for other code?
Was there any justifications for that percentage that Gordon gave or?
I think 25% is, oh, the 50?
No, just like where they came up with that. Is that just what they agreed upon basically in discussions?
I don't know the behind of it, but I thought 50%, like they suggested, is reasonable.
Mhm.
Oh, I do too.
And
generous.
I think 25% must be their base
Yeah.
lot coverage, so you can just change it to whatever zoning district you're in and
They have a lot of little lots.
a lot of little lots,
in
yeah.
Gorham. Yeah.
So, But if anybody has any suggestions for, other code to look at or propose, always happy to entertain.
Good.
I think that's about it. We had a longer meeting than normal.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, but I just need a motion to adjourn.
I will move to adjourn.
Second,
Fine.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Let's get out of here.
I had a general- Does anybody know what's going on with the black walnut trees? Is there something attacking them? I've noticed a lot going down this year.
I believe there is something.
Something in the bark, because we've had some really
I
large
can't
mature
remember what it
ones
is.
that over the years,
Hmm.
the woodpeckers have nailed and they're finally dead.
Wow.
Huh.
And I've just noticed it throughout town,
I
like
don't
random